we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I am going to take you through 3 flips. Basically, these are all products that we've had in our store for at least 6 months to a year that haven't sold. These brass face masks, I don't even know where we got them, probably from a house that we got our hands on. We get quite a few because of our staging company and having a lot of clients that are flippers. They give us a lot of home decor items, or we'll go and clean items out. So anyway, we got them for free and we've had them sitting around. They haven't sold. It is time to give them a facelift. And I am using DIY paint in vintage linen, and I am just giving it a good 2 solid coats. I'll use the heat gun in between. And then I also have this cute little vintage coffee pot that again hasn't sold, and we got it for free as well from a house. So I'm doing the same thing, sort of batch painting. I'll actually be doing 3 projects, multiples of a couple of them, and all of them are going to get the initial coat of DIY paint in vintage linen. So one of the things that I love about DIY paint is there's absolutely no smell. I can do this very safely inside my house, and since we are sitting here, I'm crafting today because Hurricane Elsa is sitting right on top of us. So yep, I'll show you the radar here in a couple of minutes, but it is bearing down and it has been raining. So if you listen to the lyrics of the song that I have when I'm not talking, then I think maybe you'll appreciate it. But it is a wet, wet, wet day. Nothing to do but sit home and paint. Here is the radar footage from Elsa and where we are. The blue dot is the new house. Sort of down in that green area below is where the old house is, and I will show you some images of that as well. So Anna texted us this video, and this road is actually right behind my house. My house is over to the right, kind of just past that brown fence you can kind of see off in the distance. So this was right there, which means that, as usual during a hurricane, my old house probably has no power. This is a screenshot that I took from my phone from the news, and there's going to be a video showing a tornado here in a minute, and it is pretty amazing. Just excuse the language in the video, but I think if you were standing from this vantage point, you might have a couple curse words to say as well.
There's a tornado right there. That is a big tornado. Oh shit. Look at that tornado. I have never seen debris flying everywhere. Holy shit. Actually, dude.
Tomorrow we'll go check out the warehouse and hopefully everything will be good and safe. We are all safe. My husband is actually in Kentucky right now, and the rest of us are safe and sound in the new house. And so we are ready to move on to project number 3. I had a bunch of these and most of them sold. I am down to 1 of each variety left, so I am just going to paint over them and then you'll see what's coming next.
We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right.
I thought I'd take a quick moment and show you just how easy it is to get some of these stickers off when you are using a heat gun and a razor blade. So you'll actually watch that little gold one just fly off on its own, and that's pretty fun. The rest come off are really easy and fast.
With you and I, the future is bright.
Alright, we're going to go back to the masks, and I'm going to use this jewel paste from Prima, and this is fun. I did a raised stencil on this on the Alice in Wonderland table. I don't know if you saw that video or not, but I love this for raised stencil. It was so gorgeous. And so what I'm going to try here is watering it down a little bit. I've got a cup of water on the side, and I'm going to paint this over one of the masks. I've kind of decided I was going to try a couple different techniques on these. I wanted them to be a matching set, but they'll be sold individually, and I wasn't sure exactly which way I wanted to go, so this is really a trial and error, but I wanted to have a little fun. I wanted one to be rosy. Right now I feel like they look like something from one of the Jason movies, and while masks are always a little bit creepy, I didn't want that. I wanted these to be much more cottagecore, much more fun home decor, although in the end I feel like these might still be prevalent for a Halloween cottagecore kind of non-creepy Halloweeny kind of take, but maybe that's just because I think masks are creepy. Once I've got the entire mask painted, I am going to go in with some Gemstone Mousse by Dixie Belle, and you can see it's pretty stiff. So what I'm showing you is that when you mix it up, it becomes nice and creamy. Again, if you just use it from the top, you're going to mix up the solution. So you really do need to mix it every time that you use it, and it may look hard, but once it's all mixed up, it is perfectly fine and usable again. The consistency does seem to me to dry out over time. I don't know if that's because I'm not particularly good about making sure my lid is on tight, or if this is just the way the product doesn't have a long shelf life once it's opened. Not completely sure about that, but I do love this product, and I'm gonna say I have 3 containers of this, 1 in the shop and 2 that are at my house, because I always seem to need it wherever I am. So sometimes 1 actually goes around in my purse with me in case I need to add gold to something now. Believe it or not, that is actually true. So I'm going to highlight on all of the raised elements of this pink mask, and then I'm going to go over it with white wax after that to kind of dull it down. I tried a couple different ways, and again, I experiment and play. I did not have a clear vision for these masks other than I knew that I didn't like them as they were and they were not selling, so I was going to try to make them a little more cottagecore, if you will. And so just watch me playing, and hopefully you will enjoy seeing my thought process through this.
Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for.
And since I'm still not thoroughly happy with that one, I'm setting it aside to let me think a little bit longer, and I have whipped out my DIY's golden ticket liquid patina, and I am going to go ahead and paint the other 2 masks with this color. In the end, I really did like these. I like the pink one too. I'm going to add some transfers after I get the gold on, and to me that really settles down to where I wanted them to be. It looks a lot more like my style. Again, I think masks are creepy, so I would never have picked these up at the thrift store, but since I own them, I gotta try to sell them.
In life, call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Ooh. sight, our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side.
Okay, I'm not going to show you how I did all of the rest of this mask. You saw it in the other two, and I hope it wasn't too much, but I did want to show you kind of how I think out my layering process. And the next part is I had some of this beautiful pink velvet ribbon in my stash. So I am going to attach those like you would have attached a mask if you wore it back in the day. And this actually kind of reminds me of a book that I read. The book was Wings of Fury by Emily R. King. She also wrote the 100th Queen series, and this was about ancient Greece, Titans, and they used these masks back in the day, I will say. And so actually as I was doing these and the further I got into the process, the more I thought about the masks from that book. By the way, if you haven't listened to that audiobook or the 100th Queen series, I highly encourage it. They were both really amazing in my opinion, and I love audiobooks to pass the time while I spend a lot of time in the car, so I love to listen while I'm driving. Right, so the project. I am using pipe cleaners here that match the motif, and I am basically creating a hanger for them so that you can hang them on the wall should you so choose, which really is what makes the most sense to me. You'll see kind of how I have them staged, but hanging on a wall makes the most sense. And I tried like the darndest to get this ring off, but it might be soldered shut. I don't know. I did eventually get the chain off on accident by breaking it, but it's just going to have to stay there.
And through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call.
And now I'm just going to do the same thing for the other two masks.
With you and I, the future is bright.
Okay, so now I am back to the little photo clips, and here I am just giving it a quick sand with some 220 grit sandpaper. I'm just knocking off the edges and making it a little more smooth. Next, I am going to use a JRV stencil, and this is 3 sets of lavenders. I'm only going to use one of them. They're sort of a small, medium, and a large, and I'm going to use the smallest one on both of these blocks. Now for this, I have quite the array of colors in pretty much every brand, and as I've said, I am not loyal to one specific brand. I like to mix it up, so I'm going to be using Bungalow 47, Dixie, Belle, and DIY paint for the stenciling, and I have a small set of brushes. And the important thing when you're stenciling is to make sure that you get most of the paint off of your brush. That is the key thing when you are stenciling. You have to offload, and you have to offload most of the paint. In this case, I'm sort of backing back and forth between swirling and pouncing. Actually doing more pouncing than the swirling for this because it's so fine and the stencil tends to hop. And I don't really like pouncing in that, but it just seemed to be the easier method when all was said and done. And I'm going to go back and forth with the colors between the two blocks and get the entire thing done.
Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
And so if you love the result of a stenciled piece, you can absolutely leave it there. I sometimes, not with everything, but sometimes like to go a little bit extra and kind of give it a little bit more dimension. And so I am going to take a very fine brush, which I'll be honest and say this brush really needs to get a good cleaning with some mineral spirits because there's some paint built up in the ferrule area, so it wasn't staying as fine as I wanted it to be. But use a little bit of paint and some water, and I've got some white, and I'm just going to be adding some highlights, and then I'm going to mix the main colors with some white and sort of do a little bit of painting over what you saw, the original, and this is going to add a lot of dimension. And so basically what ends up happening is I use the stencil sort of as a background, and then I'm going to freehand paint over top of it and just give it a little bit extra.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Now we're just about done, so it's time to seal it. I'm going to give it a slight sand again with the 220 and knock it down, make sure it's all nice and smooth. And then we're going to use some of Dixie Belle's Best Dang Wax in the clear, and then we're going to go over that with a little bit of mist mustard seed in espresso. So it's basically a dark wax. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of aging. If you wanted it really aged, you could have just gone over it with the espresso wax or a dark wax, but I didn't want too much. I didn't want it to be dark. So I started off with the clear base, which gives me a lot more flexibility on my dark. And you'll see it was still even a little bit too dark, in which case I used the clear as an eraser basically. So you can always use the clear coat if you've started with the clear coat to sort of wipe back some of the darkness.
Crickets see the moon, side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
And just a quick word here about cleaning your brushes. I just get a nice soft cloth and actually rub as much wax out of the brush as I can, and I just keep doing that until I feel like most of the wax is out, and then my brush seems nice and clean, and as long as it's not too stiff feeling, then I know I've done a good job. And oh my gosh, are we finally finishing up the last project? Guys, I'm so sorry this is so long, but I really wanted to show you the layering details and kind of let you see my thought process. If you'd like to see the video shorter and leave out the detail, please leave a comment below and I will take the feedback. I never respond with negativity to feedback regardless of what it is. I'm still learning this whole editing thing, so any feedback that you give me in the comments is much appreciated. I am going to go through this part pretty fast because there's not a lot to it. Really, the thing I want you to see here is when you're going on a rounded surface, you are likely to have some cracks and some bumps. The easiest way to counteract this is just do what I am doing now, which is kind of cutting between things where you can. There's not always a cut point, and you may get some crackage. I got lucky and didn't have any cracking on this, but I want to tell you, it is very common if you are going on a round surface to get cracking in your flowers. Just consider that a little bit of additional de-stress.
We're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it.
And I know this has been a long video, so I wanted to remind you of our first project, and I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. Please leave any comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you love videos like this, even shorter ones, and thanks for joining me. I will see you again real soon.
We don't need no more. Even in the
Oh yeah, and I just started ordering the magnetic eyelashes again. What do you think? You like them? It's like a kit of 10, and there are so many different kinds, some really crazy ones, so I can't wait to try some of those. I was gonna get eyelash extensions, but honestly, I go so many days without makeup, I thought they would just look ridiculous. I just want, you know, when I actually go through all the trouble of, you know, doing my hair and makeup, that my eyes, they stand out. I don't know if you can even see them behind my glasses though.